Time? Now that's a funny little game, isn't it? Tick, tick, tick like a polite little monster tapping its nails while you lie to yourself. Everybody thinks they have more of it. Tomorrow, next week, someday. They plan their futures like it's guaranteed, as if the calendar owes them. They wake up late, scroll through their illusions, promise they'll start next Monday, swear they're just figuring things out. But there's something no one wants to hear. You're not figuring anything out. You're stalling. You're bargaining with a clock that doesn't make deals. You see, the funny thing about signs is people pretend they don't see them. Oh, they see them. They just hope, pray, even that ignoring them will make them vanish. Like that unpaid bill you slide under the couch. That message you never reply to. That ache in your gut you label just stress. Denial is a lovely little theater. Everyone plays their part. But here's the catch, the show ends whether you clap or not. Signs are not fireworks. They're not going to light up the sky in pretty colors and politely announce your destiny. No, they're glitches. They're things out of place, that uneasy silence when certain names or nays are mentioned. That opportunity that fell through just when it looked perfect. That same damn pattern repeating over and over again like a broken record you swear you've never heard before. But you have, haven't you? You've just been humming along with it, pretending it's a new tune. You ask for a miracle. You beg for a voice from the sky. And when it comes, when it shows up wrapped in loss, discomfort, or loneliness, you toss it aside because it didn't come with a smile. You want the message, but only if it's delivered with a bow. So the warnings pile up, quieter each time, until they're no longer warnings, they're consequences. And by then, well, it's too late to say oops. You keep scrolling past your wake-up calls, keep sleeping through your alarms, keep laughing at the goosebumps, telling yourself it's just cold air. But you know, that job that drains your soul, that friend who only calls when they need something, that plan you keep postponing because you're not ready. It's all there, painted in bright red on the walls of your own mind. And still you walk past it like it's graffiti. Just background noise, harmless, forgettable. But signs don't care about your comfort. They're not here to ask your love. They come to interrupt. They come to shake you awake whether you're ready or not. You miss them because you're not listening. You're not watching. You're too busy trying to keep things normal. But what if normal is the very thing killing you? Slowly, quietly, elegantly, like a thief that smiles while picking your pocket. You want to know the cruelest part. You usually only recognize the sign after the fallout, after the breakup, after the job loss, after the door slams shut. That's when you say, I should have known. But you didn't know. You just didn't want to believe it. Because belief means change. Belief means facing the music. And you'd rather dance to silence than confront the truth. See, people don't really miss signs, they avoid them. Because deep down, change is terrifying. It means giving up control, admitting you were wrong, letting go of people you once begged to stay. So instead of moving forward, you stagnate, you shrink, you make excuses, you paint over the cracks and call it character. But underneath, you're crumbling, bit by bit, piece by piece. Some say signs are divine. Some say they're just coincidence. Doesn't matter. What matters is they show up every time you're on the edge of something. A test, a shift, a breakdown, or maybe a breakthrough, but you can't have the breakthrough without the break. And most people aren't willing to be broken. They want glory without the mess. They want the fire without the burn. So they wait. They wait for confirmation, for safety, for guarantees. But life doesn't hand those out. What it does hand out over and over is signs, clues, warnings, and if you ignore them, if you keep pretending they don't exist, don't be surprised when they start there, when the ground disappears beneath you. That's not the world being cruel. That's the world holding up a mirror, reflecting every moment you turned away, every time you looked down instead of forward, every chance you had to move and didn't. Oh, you felt that, didn't you? That twitch in your gut when the lights flicker, That cold whisper of something's off crawling down your spine. But what do? You adjust the thermostat. You blame it on bad wiring. You laugh it off like it's just a fluke. But deep inside, right in that lovely, noisy little head of yours, you know something's coming. You just don't want to admit it. Because admitting it means you'll have to face it. And facing it, that would mean change, wouldn't it? See you people so cute in your routines. Wake up, brush your teeth, fake a smile, lie to the world, lie to yourself, rinse, repeat. You walk around wearing masks made of confidence stitched together with threads of fear. You sit in rooms full of noise, pretending not to hear the silence echoing in your chest. But then comes the feeling, that tiny, inconvenient whisper, the one that says, pay attention, but you don't. You turn up the volume. You scroll a little longer, anything to drown it out. Because if you hear it too clearly, you'll have to act, and action, well, that requires guts, doesn't it? You love to say, give me a sign, but what you really mean is, give me a sign that fits my comfort zone. Something pleasant, painless, preferably wrapped in shiny paper and sealed with a hug. But signs don't work like that. Oh no, they show up in the dark. They arrive late and uninvited. They come with broken glass and jagged edges. They don't knock. They kick the door in, flip the table, and pour your wine down the drain. And still you pretend not to notice. Maybe it's because you think there's more time. You believe there'll always be tomorrow. You treat life like a waiting room, sitting, scrolling, tapping your foot while the real stuff passes you by. You keep telling yourself you'll leap when the timing is right, when the stars align, when it's meant to be. But what if the timing already was right? What if the sign already screamed in your face and you just blinked at it like it was a stranger speaking a language you didn't want to learn? That's the thing, isn't it? You want revelation without risk. You want confirmation without confrontation. But truth isn't polite. It doesn't wait for your approval. It doesn't care how busy you are or how not ready you feel. It crashes in, throws cold water on your dreams and says, look again. Not because it hates you, but because something in you still dares to wake up. And that little ember of awareness, that flicker of clarity, that's the part of you they tried to bury. But let's be honest, darling. You knew the game was rigged long before the pieces started falling. You knew the people around you weren't all clapping for you. You knew the job didn't love you back. You knew the habits were chains dressed up as comfort. You've known for a long time. You just didn't want to give up the illusion, so you called the illusion life. You made a home and a house made of fog and mirrors. And every time reality knocked, you drew the curtains and whispered, not today. But the signs didn't stop, did they? No, they just got louder, sharper, less polite. Because the longer you wait, the more aggressive the truth becomes. And it's not punishment, it's pressure. Pressure to become something you already are, under all that noise. All that pretending. It's the echo of the version of you that never sold out, never gave in, never shrunk to fit the mold. That version. It's still there. Tapping, scratching, screaming behind your smile. That version is what the signs are trying to unleash. But you keep locking the door, bolting the windows, hiding under the bed like a child afraid of monsters, not realizing you're the monster they should fear. You're the chaos, you're the fire. You're the storm they didn't see coming. But only if you stop ignoring the signs. Only if you look at the mess and say, fine, I'll listen now. Not for anyone else, for you. Because deep down beneath the distractions and the denial, you've always known the truth was never quiet. You just didn't want to hear it. Number 3, isn't it? Funny thing about 3s. 3 strikes. 3 warnings. 3rd time's the charm or the curse. But this one isn't some cute fairy tale. This one's a gut punch wrapped in velvet. You walk around thinking time is on your side, don't you? Like you've got this invisible safety net strung up in the clouds, ready to catch you every time you leap too late. But there's a whisper following you, and it's not the wind. It's the countdown. Tick, tick, tick. You see, people always think the universe is going to spell it out in neon lights. They expect fireworks and divine interruptions, like some celestial referee's gonna blow a whistle and say, "Now's the moment. Act." But it doesn't work like that. No, it comes quieter, slower. A shift in someone's tone. A door that used to creak now slams shut. A message left on read. That's the sound of change. That's the sound of the world moving on without asking your permission. But what do? You scroll, you wait. You rehearse your excuses like monologues in front of a cracked mirror. You whisper to yourself, it's just not the right time. Oh, how you love that line. Not the right time. Like time's just sitting around in a tuxedo, sipping champagne, waiting to match your mood. Newsflash, time doesn't wait. Time doesn't listen. Time doesn't care how tired you are or how scared you've become. It moves, it rips, it burns. And right now it's unraveling behind you thread by thread while you pretend not to see the holes in your own story. You talk to yourself like there's a later. I'll leave when I'm ready. I'll speak when I'm sure. I'll try when it feels safe. Since when did change ever come gift wrapped in comfort? Since when did transformation wear slippers and knock politely? No, it comes in steel boots stomping across your chest, daring you to stand up. And if you don't, it steps right over you and keeps going. But the beautiful part, the part no one tells you, you already know what to do. You already heard the call. The problem isn't knowing, it's obeying. It's doing. It's deciding. For once in your precious little life that maybe avoiding pain is costing you everything. That clinging to stability is killing the wild thing inside you that wants to roar. So you stall. You distract yourself. You decorate your prison with pretty lies. They need me. I can't leave yet. What if it gets better? What if it doesn't? What if the only way it gets better is by shattering first? What if the door you're afraid to open is the one that leads to everything you've been begging for? You want to know something about losing? Losing isn't the enemy. It's the initiation. It's the stripping away of all the dead weight you've convinced yourself you needed. It's not personal. It's necessary. But you treat every ending like a tragedy, when really it's the exit music playing for the old you. And if you don't walk off stage when your cue hits, they'll drag you. They always do. You've seen it. People who stayed too long. Relationships that should have been over months ago. Jobs that chewed up every dream you had and spit them out dressed like invoices. And yet you linger. Why? Because fear. Because doubt. Because someone once told you that suffering was noble and shrinking was polite. How charming. But the truth, oh the delicious truth, is that the signs were never subtle. They were screaming. The door was already open. The room was already on fire. You're the one still holding the match, pretending you didn't smell the smoke. You're the one still whispering, maybe I imagined it. You didn't. You never did. You saw the exit. You saw the shift. You felt the shift. You just didn't move. And now the universe isn't asking. It's demanding. It's cutting off the exits one by one until you realize that jumping is the only option left that looks like freedom. Not because you're brave, not because you're ready, but because staying still has finally become more terrifying than flying blind. And that, my friend, is the moment everything bends. You ever notice how silence can be the loudest thing in the room? Not the kind of silence you get in libraries or funerals. No, this is a special kind. The silence that creeps in right before something leaves, or someone. That hush that wraps itself around your chest, squeezes just enough to make you look around. And suddenly people start disappearing. Not in a puff of smoke, not with tears and goodbyes, but slowly, quietly, they shrink. Fade, evaporate. You blink and they're not who they were yesterday. You call and their voice isn't the same. You reach and all you touch is air. It starts with a shift, something microscopic. A message left unopened. A laugh that doesn't reach the eyes. They stop asking how you are. You stop answering even if they did. And the worst part, you saw it coming. Oh yes, you did, but you looked away. Because it's easier to lie to yourself than admit someone's writing you out of their story while you're still in the middle of the damn chapter. You tell yourself they're just busy. Busy. That magic little excuse that people use to politely discard your importance. As if life is a calendar and somehow you didn't make the cut. Not enough sparkle. Not enough drama. Or maybe too much. Maybe you glowed a little too bright and made their shadows twitch. So they drift, not in anger, not in rage, just distance, subtle, surgical, cowardly. But here's the thing they never tell you about people leaving. Sometimes it's not rejection. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes the universe picks up the broom and starts sweeping while you're still holding onto the dirt. You beg it to stop, but it's already decided. This one's done. This person, this connection, this illusion, it served its sentence. Time's up. You're the one still holding the chains, mistaking them for bracelets. And maybe, just maybe, you were never supposed to keep them. Maybe they were just passing through. Teachers dressed as lovers, lessons camouflaged as friends, temporary mirrors that cracked the moment you stopped pretending. But you tried to superglue people to places they were never meant to stay. You built shrines out of shared memories, hoping nostalgia could be a leash. And now you're surprised they ran. No, darling. They were always going to leave. You just made it harder for them to say it out loud. Because you make it hard, don't you? You don't just let people go. No, you bleed for them. You write poetry in your head. You imagine speeches that never get spoken. You wait for the door to reopen, even after hearing it lock from the other side. It's tragic, really, romantic in a self-destructive kind of way, the way you hold on, the way you replay the greatest hits of people who already packed up and moved on. But that's the trick, isn't it? They don't always leave with slamming doors. Sometimes they leave with polite smiles, with soft goodbyes disguised as take care. They'll tell you they're still here while taking steps back you don't even notice until the space between you could swallow a city block. And you'll keep sending love letters into the void, waiting for echoes, waiting for ghosts to reply. Maybe they didn't lie. Maybe they just outgrew you. Or maybe you grew, and that scared them. Maybe you evolved into something their comfort zones couldn't contain. Maybe you reminded them of the things they buried, their dreams, their fears, their truths. And so they ran, because staying meant facing themselves in your reflection, and they couldn't handle the honesty. So now you sit in the quiet, sifting through the ashes of conversations, remembering their favorite song, their laugh, the way they used to text you first. You torture yourself with old screenshots like a detective solving a crime where the victim was your trust. And you pretend you're okay. You smile in the mirror. You post happy captions. But inside, it's a crime scene. No chalk outlines, just missing pieces. But let me tell you something. The ones who are meant to stay, they don't need locks on the door. They stay through the storm. They sit with you in the mess. They don't flinch when the mask slips. And when they leave, you'll feel it in your bones, but you'll also feel something else. Lighter, freer, sharper, because when they exit, they take the lie with them. And all that's left is the truth. Uncomfortable, unpolished, but yours. You ever try to save someone who didn't ask to be saved? It's like pulling a drowning man out of the water just to find out he was swimming toward the bottom on purpose. That's the game no one talks about. The twisted little game where people wear their pain like armor, and if you dare to reach in, you get cut. You bleed. And they just keep sinking, smiling, blaming you for the water. People say loyalty is everything. Cute idea, very noble. But let's dissect it a bit, shall we? Loyalty is only beautiful when it's mutual. Otherwise, it's just self-inflicted misery. You stay, you fight, you defend, and for what? A seat at a table where you're not even fed. A name in someone's life where you're only used as a convenience store open late, no questions asked. Loyalty becomes a poison when it's handed to people who never earned it. And guess what? They know. Oh, they know exactly how much you'll tolerate. They take your silence as permission, your forgiveness as currency, and your loyalty as their get out of jail free card every time. But here's the fun part. The part they don't teach you in fairy tales. When you finally stop showing up, when you finally stop bleeding on the floor for them, that's when the mask slips. That's when the victim act begins. You change, they'll whisper. You're different now. No, darling, you just stopped dying for people who never once tried to keep you alive. That's not change. That's evolution. People don't like it when you grow without their permission. They liked you better when you were easy to manipulate. When your boundaries were made of paper, when your voice was just background noise to their chaos. They fed off your kindness, sucked the energy from your spirit like parasites dressed as friends. You thought you were healing them, saving them, carrying them. But really, you were just making it easier for them to avoid their own tormento. You became their crutch. And when you stood tall, they limped away, blaming you for their fall. You want to know who's real. Cut off the benefits. Stop explaining yourself. Start saying no. Watch how fast their loyalty disintegrates. Watch how the truth crawls out from their perfect little lies. Some people only love you when you're broken, when you're manageable, when you're predictable and you're suffering. But the moment you rise, the moment you reclaim your voice, your time, your peace, they panic. Because your power reminds them of everything they gave up. Everything they could never be. And yet, here you are, still questioning if you did too much. Still wondering if maybe, just maybe, you're the problem. Isn't that cute? The way they twist the narrative. Turn your compassion into weakness. Your love into guilt. It's a game, a very old one. Played by cowards with pretty faces. Masters of manipulation with soft voices and hard hearts. They smile while sharpening the knife. And when you bleed, they offer tissues instead of apologies. But you kept showing up, hoping they'd see your worth, praying they'd recognize the love you handed them without price tags or expiration dates. You thought consistency would earn you a place in their loyalty, but loyalty without respect is a leash. And you've been walking in circles, haven't you? Holding on to history like it's proof of the future, hoping the past version of them would walk back through the door. But that version's dead, and so is your innocence.